Welcome to Mysteries, Myths, and Legends. I'm Taylor.
I'm Savannah.
And welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. Happy, I was going to say Valentine's Day, but that was last week.
No, yeah. Unfortunately, you're a week behind.
Yeah,
but
sorry about that.
We did, in fact, have Valentine's Day. And that was fun. We got together, made a bunch of food, and made friendship bracelets. And guys, they are so cute. I actually just went to the dentist today and I was wearing my bracelets, and every single person in there was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with your bracelets." And I was like, "Thank you. Thank you very much."
Same. Yeah, I feel like we kind of went a little bit overboard with our Galentine's bracelets. Like, I made 8 bracelets.
I made 6. I could have made so many more though.
Yeah. I know. No, and I still have supplies. Like, we both still have supplies. So, like, we're gonna have to make more.
No, literally, people are like, "Can you make me one?" I'm like, listen, this is gonna have to become a paid venture. Because it does take time.
Like, maybe we should start, like, a little business.
Listen, guys, I can't lie. We make really cute friendship bracelets. And
we do. Yeah.
Many different varieties. So, that's all I gotta say. Hit us up if you want a bracelet. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, no, that was very fun. Loved it. Very, very fun. And then it was the Super Bowl, which was insane. And I literally had to mention this because, I mean, I know it'll be like late news by the time this comes out, but as we're recording, it just happened 2 days ago. And all of the commercials were alien related. Because people thought that the Super Bowl was going to be like shut down by the aliens. Did you know that?
What? No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Wow. Okay. Well, did you see the alien commercials? Because every single one had aliens in them.
No. What do you mean, Taylor? Are you sure?
I'm 100% positive.
I only saw a few of them. Well, maybe I saw like one. Okay. But I don't remember there being that many alien commercials.
There were so many it's because I not only watched it live, but my mom was busy during the Super Bowl. And she didn't care about the game. She only cared about the commercials and the halftime show. So I rewatched it last night, and only the commercials and the halftime show. So there were so, like, I would say, like, if 5 commercials played every time, like 3 of them were alien.
Oh wow!
And I don't know personally people who place bets, but like the people who I was hanging out with during the Super Bowl, they knew people who placed bets that actually legitimately thought aliens were going to come down during the Super Bowl. Like, placed real money on that.
Okay, I did not hear about this, like, before the Super Bowl.
I didn't hear about it before, but I did.
Like this has been a thing that people were thinking about?
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
I don't know. I really don't know the origin of it, but...
Interesting.
Update, it didn't happen.
No.
Not at least that we know of. Yeah. Also, I don't even care about football like that, but that was the most fake scripted ending of a football game I've ever seen in my life. And I hated it. I hated it. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I mean, was I paying attention? Kind of. So.
Well.
So, like, I'll just agree with you. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, they had 6 seconds left on the clock, and the 49ers were winning the entire time. And they went into overtime.
It seemed like they were going back and forth on it. Every time I looked up, somebody else was winning.
I would say majority of the time the 49ers were winning. But, because I was actually watching the game. And they had 6 seconds left in overtime. And these people, listen, this is a hot take. I'm sorry for anybody who doesn't care about football. But, like, these people, like the coaches and stuff, are paid millions upon millions of dollars to know the rules of the game, right? Like, we understand that fact. Like, they get paid so much money to know the rules of the game. And they had a timeout left, which could have been used to, I don't know, formulate some kind of a plan to make sure that they won. And they didn't use the timeout. And they were like, oh, like, it's new rules. I'm like, that's literally your only job is to know the rules of the game.
I mean, that's valid.
And then, that's what I'm saying. And then, of course, they throw the final touchdown with like 2 seconds left of the game. And there was not one man trying to block the man who caught it. So, I'm just saying. Scripted. I've played football. No, not conspiracy. True. And that's the Taylor stamped truth. My stamp of approval.
Okay, a conspiracy doesn't mean that it's not true. A conspiracy theory could be.
That's true. That's true.
True.
But yeah, let us know what you think about that. If you have any opinion. I was very irritated. I'm just like if it's fake, why are we watching it? We wasted all this time. Like, I had to drive so late. We went into overtime for what? Like, we could have just wrote that they won, before.
Yeah, honestly true.
Anyway, Super Bowl talk, football talk, our sports podcast aside. I did love the halftime show. Loved it.
I know. Lil Jon. Usher was great.
Listen,
oh my God.
He killed it. The roller skates, honey, I could never.
Yes.
I could never do that.
That was crazy.
Yeah. The only disappointment I had really was that Justin Bieber didn't perform. And
I know. I was waiting for him the whole time.
Yeah, I was upset. But, I was happy to see Ludacris and Lil Jon, so it's okay. It all worked out in the end. Truly. But anyways, go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. But I don't really have anything else. If you want to go ahead and get on into your story, Savannah.
Okay, yeah, let's get on into it. So this week I have a story, a Japanese legend.
Oh, those are my favorite. Like, actually.
Yeah. So this is a legend of the Bakeneko.
Okay. So
Bakeneko, neko is their word for cat.
Okay.
So a Bakeneko it translates to like monster cat or or it can also mean ghost cat or like changing cat.
Oh, okay. That is fascinating. I am excited to get into this.
I know. So it's a supernatural creature that begins as a normal house cat.
Oh. So
there we go.
Okay. Heard.
Yeah. So basically it's like a regular cat that turns into this creature. So, yeah. So, the main like characteristic of these cats is that they have really long tails. And some of the like things that this like weird creature can do once it turns into the creature, it can walk on two legs, and that's sort of because it has a long tail, I guess.
Ew.
That allows it to walk on two legs.
I don't ever want to see a cat walking on two legs.
I know. Like, thinking about that, it's just like really creepy for some reason. So anyways, that's sort of how it begins, turning into this creature, is it walks on two legs, and then over time their like power gets stronger, and then they can change form, and sometimes they can even speak.
What?
Yeah. So creepy. I already don't like it, Like,
I kind of want to talk to the cat.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a little humanoid cat walking around.
Like Loki. It's giving the cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, honestly true. So this cat, like, it has, like I said, special abilities like speech and metamorphism, so changing into different things. And it can also resurrect the dead. It's said to resurrect the dead.
This thing can do it all.
Yeah, honestly. So and also a cat that has transformed into a Bakeneko might even go so far as to like kill its master. Okay. and then take their place and control the household themselves.
Oh, great. Amazing.
Yeah. Yep. Because they can morph, so they can morph into a human and just like take their place.
Wow, that's actually really scary.
It is, yeah.
What if Parm does that to you?
Well, I'm about to tell you. So there's some characteristics that a cat must meet.
Oh, I see.
Must have to become one.
Okay.
And Parm is not there yet.
Okay, thank goodness.
So the first thing is that the cat must be at least 13 years old.
Okay. She's not even close.
So, yeah, Parm's not close. She's only like 1.
She's a baby.
Actually, she's almost 2, I
Oh,
think. Or
our girl's
she's like
growing
one and a
up.
half,
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I don't even know the age of my cat. No, I think she's like one and a half.
Yeah.
Um, they have to weigh more than 3.5 kilograms, which is like 7 or 8 pounds.
Okay. Okay.
And have an abnormally long tail. So,
Okay.
if it meets that criteria, it could turn into a Bakeneko. So taking it back in time to the Edo period in Japan, which was from 1603 to 1868, so long time ago. Cats were used to hunt mice that like threatened the silkworm industry, like in the textile
Mm-hmm.
industry,
Yeah.
because silkworms and silk was like really big there. So they just like fought off the mice and rats in the area. So there was just like this, the town sort of got overpopulated with cats at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So because there were so many cats around, there became like superstitions about long-tailed cats.
Oh.
And these superstitions sort of like turned into the legend of the Bakeneko.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can sort of like trace it back to see where it came from. I like finding the root of some of these
Mm-hmm.
legends.
Same.
So this superstition unfortunately had some repercussions on the feline and human relationships.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was coming. I don't love that.
Yeah, yeah. So people started like being really cautious of cats, especially ones with long tails.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, cutting tails of kittens became popular.
Yeah, I really hate that.
Yeah. So, actually, I think I did read in my research that even today, Japanese people will tend to lean towards like having cats with like tiny tails, like the little nub tails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because also
And it
like
stems from this.
does cutting it make a difference? Like if it was born with a long tail, you know what I'm saying? Like, or does it absolutely have to have the long tail to be one of these?
Yeah, the legend says that it has to have the long tail.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, if you're going by the legend, yeah, this would make it not turn into one of these things, but I mean, I don't know.
At what
It's
cost?
never good.
Literally at the cost of the
Yeah,
tail.
it's never good to cut the tails
No,
of
no, no.
anything.
No.
Yeah. So don't do this. Um but yeah, back then it was really popular. And it was also became superstition around this time to not let a cat approach a dead person because you would risk it bringing the person back to life.
Oh, I mean, that would be kind of cool though.
Yeah, but I think it might be in sort of like a zombie sense.
That would still be kind of cool
Yeah,
though.
well, yeah, true, but like, I don't know, I'd rather not.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean,
Like, you're
there's no
supposed to just
need.
like, yeah,
Also,
I think their viewpoint on that is like they want the person to just rest,
yeah, in
you know?
peace. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So they
I'm just
wouldn't
saying,
let
like,
the
if it
cat
was
around
me,
them.
you can let a cat come up to my dead body, and I can be the zombie cat. I'm okay with that, personally.
Okay. All right, keeping that in mind. So also around this time, one of the most famous like Japanese legends about Bakenekos is the story of Bakeneko prostitutes
Oh,
of Edo. Yeah. So this is interesting. Um, Edo, I already said that it was like during the Edo period in Japan, but I forgot to mention like Edo, that is the former name of Tokyo. So it's just like the
oh, okay.
biggest city. Yeah. But anyways, so there are many of like these stories of these like prostitute cats, but they all share like a common thread. So like the client of the person cat will fall asleep and wakes up to see the woman picking at fish bones or other seafood while she's like has a cat head or a shadow of a cat.
What the heck? That's crazy.
Yes. So, you know, the person will realize, they're like, oh my God, this is actually a Bakeneko, and they've transformed into a woman just to trick me. And other versions have the cat shadow appear, like when they see you on the street too. So like before you even like go that far with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll just like cast a shadow on the ground, so you'll have to like catch that before you like go with them, right?
All right, so heard.
So
just look at the shadow of anybody you're trying to pick up. Make sure they're
I
not a
mean,
cat,
true.
I guess,
Exactly.
is what the goal is.
Yeah, make sure they don't have like a tail shadow or like ears or something. Yeah.
True.
So after in these stories, like after the man like notices that it's a cat, they immediately become terrified and try to escape. And some stories, unfortunately, the man does not get away, and the Bakeneko pounces on them and, kills them. So.
Well.
So yeah. They're vicious when they have to be, I guess.
Yeah. That's crazy. Imagine being killed by a, like, standing cat woman. That is literally crazy.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. See, there's like those stories, and then like the story that I was talking about before where they will like do that to their owner.
Yeah, and like take over their body. That's scarier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's scary too.
Like, that's a personal attack, first of all. Like,
exactly.
I raised you, boy.
Right, exactly. For like up to 13 years.
Yeah,
too.
at least
like,
13. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Crazy. So today, the Bakeneko, they're actually considered legends, and not many people believe in the story, just as people did back then. But they are still celebrated. Starting in 2010, every year after that, the Tokyo district of Kagurazaka, sorry, and there is like a celebration of the Bakeneko. So
why are we celebrating them?
well, because now they're like celebrated as like a legend.
Oh, okay.
Instead of like they're real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's just like a fun thing to celebrate.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And so it's just like a dedication to the cat, and there's like a parade. There's like a festival going on with food, drinks, makeup stalls that will like make you up as a cat.
That is so fun.
I know. And everybody there is dressed up as a cat. So
wait, this actually is sounding more and more appealing.
I know, like it sounds like fun. And every year this parade festival goes on the second week of October. So it's sort of linked to Halloween because it's like around Halloween time.
Ooh.
And at the end of the parade, there's a group that performs the dance of the Naya, which is like meow in Japanese.
Oh.
And they're dressed as cats. So
fun.
Yeah. Very fun. So that is the story of the Bakeneko.
Wow, I love that. I feel like it's crazy. Like when we started this podcast, I would have never guessed that there's so many like legends of cats. Like
I know.
This one, the Yule cat. Like
that's true. Yeah,
a lot of cats. The like black cats.
I think it's because like they've been connected to humans for so long.
True.
Literally
forever, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I suppose, moving along to my story.
Mm-hmm.
This one, there's really no intro. Let me just get right on into it. I have for you guys some ghost stories from Beaufort, North Carolina. Da-da-da.
Okay.
So, I want to say around like a month ago, I went with my parents for a weekend to go to Beaufort, North Carolina.
I don't
Um,
even know where that is.
it's like on the way to the Outer Banks. It's
Okay.
basically like the last land area before you go over the bridge to go to the Outer Banks, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very close. It's very close to the Outer Banks. It might as well be in the Outer Banks. And previous to me going there a couple weeks ago, or I guess like a month at this point, I had driven through the little town like so many times, like on my way to the Outer Banks. So I obviously had heard of it before. And I also knew that there was a Nicholas Sparks film that was made there. And it's A Walk to
Oh.
Remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and parts of that was filmed in Wilmington too. Fun fact, but also in Beaufort. But what I found also while I was there this past time is that Forrest Gump was filmed in Beaufort,
Oh, oh my
which I'm
God.
like, oh, that's so cool. And it's like this tiny, like literally the tiniest little town you can imagine. But what a big reputation, so cute. And it's
Right.
just like this little beach town, like very cute. And there's like this annual, like big annual fishing competition every year there. Like very rich and famous people come there to that small town to fish and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But there are also many legends that come from this little town because it is so old. So I'm going to get into a couple of them today.
Oh, okay.
So, um, Beaufort today is home to locals, obviously, and a few cute little shops and restaurants, and of course, like I mentioned, their big annual fishing tournament. I'll have to post. I'll send you some pictures that we can post from my trip. We got like they have this big. I can't remember what kind of fish it is that this competition is for. No, I don't know. I was gonna try to guess. Can't remember, but
Yeah, I don't know fish like well
no.
enough to guess. So.
Absolutely not. But they have like a replica of like one of the biggest fish that was ever caught during that competition
Oh, that's
tournament,
cool.
and we took a picture beside of it, and it is massive. Like I can't words can't describe to how big it is. So we'll have to post that picture. Um, but turns out one of our favorite things that we discuss on this podcast also plays a huge part in this tiny little town.
Oh my God, is it Augustus Gloop?
It's unfortunately not Augustus Gloop.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not this time. Well, I'll probably try to. I'll maybe make a reference to Augustus Gloop at some point. It
Okay,
usually
yeah,
comes
yeah.
around. But no, instead of Augustus Gloop, it's actually pirates,
Oh my
and
God,
even more
yes.
specifically, Blackbeard, the pirate.
Okay, yep, yep. I mean, it
Yeah,
makes
it
sense.
does. Yeah. So if you've ever listened before to this podcast, you know that we love pirates, and my favorite pirate is Blackbeard. I've had a pretty big obsession with him since literally fourth grade when I had a whole entire class about him. And so learning that like this was kind of his established town was pretty cool.
Oh, wait, I didn't realize that.
Me neither.
So it's like so like that's where he would go,
So
like
yeah,
all the
I'll get
time.
into it more, but like basically this first ghost story I'm going to tell you is Blackbeard's house. It's literally called the Blackbeard house.
Oh,
And this is where he came when he to live like while he was like on land. When he wasn't on the water, he was living in this house. So crazy, crazy. But I do already have an episode on Blackbeard and like who he was if you for some reason don't know who he is. So if you want to, have a little intro session on that, you can listen to episode 32, which is crazy that that was that long ago that I covered Blackbeard, but
yeah,
yeah.
honestly. 32. Oh my
32.
God.
I checked. Yeah, that's crazy. But yes. So, the town of Beaufort was established in the very early 1700s, and not much, like, physically has changed in the town, which is super cool. Uh, and like I said, jumping right on into the first story here, I'm going to tell you about Blackbeard's house, and it's located on Hammock Street. And so, the houses that are built in downtown Beaufort are similar to those that were built in the Bahamas at like during this time, like by the early mariners and stuff. And Blackbeard obviously knew the Bahamas well. He like sailed through that area all the time, pirated a lot in the Bahama area. And so people think like the reason why he bought the house here and settled down here in Beaufort is because it was like a better port for him to get out of, and it reminded him of like the good times, like when he was killing people in the Bahamas, you know.
Okay, yeah.
The vibe. So yeah, this is where he would go in between his little pirate adventures just to chill and relax. And he would allow like his shipmates and people to stay there too with him. So yeah, pretty cool. So today it is called the Hammock House or Blackbeard's house. But back in the day when he lived in it, it was called the Old White House because it is quite literally an old white house.
Okay, simple enough.
Yeah, you'd have never guessed that. But back in the day when it was called the Old White House, it was actually a landmark to sailing ships who would be able to look and see this big white house, and they would know which inlet to enter safely, like to get there. So basically, his house is kind of like its own lighthouse in a way to like sailors in the area.
That is kind of awesome.
Right? It is cool. It's pretty cool because there is no lighthouse there. So like his house kind of served as that, which is
right. And
pretty cool.
And for it to be Blackbeard's house, that's
iconic.
The lighthouse, like that is wow.
The absolute most iconic. When I couldn't think he couldn't get any more iconic, you know,
right.
He is. So a little bit more into the story. So one day, Blackbeard, he was on his way back to Beaufort from a trip he had going on in Philadelphia. Shout out to Savannah on that one.
Shout out.
Yeah. So he was riding on his ship, Queen Anne's Revenge, and he was very eagerly waiting to get back to see his little boo thing at the time, and her name was Anne Gray. So he was like letting her stay in his house like while he was gone, and she was just there waiting for him to come back. And she was very excited to see the little gifts that he had brought for her because apparently he would always bring back good things for her. I mean, he's Blackbeard, you know. He's got all the goods.
Yeah. He's got anything you would want.
Exactly. So this trip, Blackbeard was actually bringing her back like tons of gold and dresses that were made of silk and like special cloth that was like really hard to come by at the time. So, you know, she was like, this is going to be a good deal for me. And it's also said that on this trip that he was making back from Philly to see Anne, that he decided that he was going to propose to her.
Oh.
Cutie. I know. So when Anne heard a knock at the door, she was very excited. She was like, oh, my baby daddy is here. Not literally baby daddy, but you know.
Yeah. Theoretically.
But
metaphorically, yeah.
Yes. However, it was not Blackbeard at the door. It was actually her dad.
Oh, what?
Her literal dad.
Yikes.
He came literally busting up in the house saying how much like him and Anne's mom were worried about her hanging around all these dangerous men. Listen.
I mean, valid. But...
It's valid. I see where they're coming from. But like, I probably also would have fallen in love with Blackbeard at the same time. So like, you know, I get it. I get both sides of the story. Obviously, I understand why they're worried, but it's also Blackbeard.
Yeah.
But, you know, this creates a huge argument between her and her dad, and she actually even pushed her dad at one point, like a little bit, but he was still begging her. He was like, please just move back home with me and your mom. Like, we'll just pretend like none of this ever happened. Like, please. And internally, Anne was like thinking like, okay, maybe he's right. And she was also thinking maybe she did want to leave. But at the same time, as much as she liked Blackbeard and all the stuff that he gave her, she was also scared of him. Scared to leave him. Because,
yeah,
I mean...
I get that.
It's Blackbeard, first of all. And she'd seen his, like, fits of anger that he had within him. And she didn't... I mean, Blackbeard is not somebody that you want to be on the bad side of. Period.
Yeah.
No, never. So it was valid. And so she was very upset. And apparently when she was upset, she would often fill her pockets with bread and walk to the water to feed the seagulls. So that's what she did. She left her dad in the house. She was like, whatever, I'm leaving. I just gotta, take a little walk. So I'm very pro do not feed the seagulls at the beach, but, in this case, I'll allow it for little Miss Anne.
Yeah, agreed.
So, she was just sitting there looking at the water, feeding the birds, thinking about her and her dad's argument. And she kind of come to the realization that she did want to leave Blackbeard. She kind of felt like he was more or less like buying her love, like that she really wasn't in love with him as a person. She was just like in love with the things that he was bringing her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But simply out of spite and not wanting to admit her being wrong to her dad, she went back to the house and told him to go and that she was staying with Blackbeard.
What? Yep. Why would she do that?
I just don't know. So her dad, he left and she ended up laying in bed and sobbed for like hours after this. Like, girl, you really could have just left with him, I don't know. Like, he could have found her. He also could have not found her. Who knows? Who's to say? But anyway, she's laying in bed crying and she's going back and forth in her mind. She clearly doesn't know what she wants to do, if you haven't caught on to that by this point. But after like a couple hours of crying about it, she was like, okay, putting my foot down, serious, no more joking around, no more flip-flopping around. I'm leaving him, is what she decided. So she ate a bowl of porridge and began to pack her things.
Okay, porridge for the road.
She was like, let me not be hungry real quick.
Exactly.
She's like, I just cried for 3 hours. I need some sustenance in my body.
I mean, yeah, makes sense.
It does. So she's like packing her bags when there's a knock at the door. Her heart, as you can probably imagine, fell right into her butt because she's like, great, Blackbeard's here and he's going to catch me trying to leave him. But to her surprise, once again, it was not Blackbeard at the door. This time, it was a local boy named Samuel. He was this young farmer and fisherman who had once been in love with Anne previously. And actually, he had given Anne a ring and asked for her hand in marriage. But, unfortunately, for Samuel, the ring that he had given her had the smallest stones, like pretty much that anybody could buy, but it was all that he could afford. And this was kind of at the same time, like, she was entertaining Sam, not like entertaining both men, but she just like wasn't that serious about anybody. And she was also talking to Blackbeard at the same time of this. And so when Blackbeard saw the ring that Samuel got for her, he apparently started cackling and then threw it overboard into the water.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so after
the drama here. Oh
I'm like, guys, this is the actual drama of Blackbeard.
Like, oh my gosh.
My goodness gracious. So after that, the whole town heard about this apparently. And this story actually comes from a local book that I bought while I was there. So like, this is like firsthand stories of this. And
love that.
Yeah, it's cool. So when the whole town basically heard like that Blackbeard was making fun of Samuel and his little ring, Samuel was like, okay, you know what, fine. I'll leave her alone because I don't want to be killed by Blackbeard, obviously. A smart man.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But anyway, if you remember, Anne Gray, she was trying to pack up her things and leave. But now Samuel is standing in the doorway. And he pulls out, she's like, what are you doing here? And he pulls out a bag. And inside the bag, he pulls out a ring. And this time, it is literally an enormous emerald diamond in the middle and like a beautiful gold band. And it was one of the most beautiful things that Anne had ever seen. And so Samuel told her how he was still in love with her and he never stopped being in love with her, and asked if she really truly was in love with Blackbeard. And apparently Anne said to him, and this is a quote, "No, Sam, no, sometimes I'm so afraid of him." So that
Oh.
is really sad. Yeah.
Yeah, that is sad.
Because you think about it, like, all her going back and forth, like, she was just trapped in an abusive relationship is really what it boils down to. So that's so sad. So, yeah, she then admits to Sam, like, that she's been staying with him because of all the fine things that he's been giving her. And it also gave her this elevated status in town, like, oh, that's Blackbeard's girlfriend, we can't mess with her, you know. And in return of that, also, everybody in the town very much respected her. And so this was, like, the first time in her life she ever felt respected. So, even though the man is crazy and a murderer, and she's scared of him sometimes, it was like she couldn't outweigh what was, you know, the best for her.
I get that.
Yeah. I mean, me too. I really do.
Yeah.
It was a completely different time. It was the early 1700s, and, like, she was a woman, so, like, she didn't have that many rights. But with him, with Blackbeard, you know, she was kind of free.
Right. Like, she had the power there because she knew that if anyone, like, if anything happened to her, then Blackbeard would just, like, fix it.
Absolutely. Like, nothing
like,
would ever happen.
Beat somebody up.
Yeah.
Murder somebody for her. Yep. Like, literally anything.
Literally.
Except for him himself. Like, he is the danger to her. So.
Exactly. Like, he doesn't realize. That. Yeah. Oh, it is so twisted. Love. Very twisted. But Anne did admit to Sam that she also was still in love with him. That she never fell out of love with him either. And so, yeah. Also, if you're curious, another reason that got played into, like, why they broke up in the first place was not only did Blackbeard throw his ring overboard, but also Sam was put on a whaling ship and they were, like physically separated for months at a time. And
I see.
Also, like, you never knew, like, if people were going to make it back from those big sea trips during the time. So
okay,
that kind of gave her the closure to move on to be with the Blackbeard, you know, since then. But now he's back, so confusing. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, I've lost my spot. Okay, so now I found it. Sam, again, on the front porch, is begging for Anne, and suddenly she turns white as a ghost. She's seeing, pulling into the port, none other than Blackbeard himself.
Oh my gosh.
So
what are the chances? Oh my god.
I know. I'm like, she's been waiting all day, and all these people have came, and now he's gonna come now. So yeah, and she sees him. Now it's a far walk from, not far, but, like, it wasn't like he's gonna be there in 10 seconds. Like, you know, a good couple minute walk. But she sees him walking up towards the house, the most feared pirate of all time, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Blackbeard. So she pulls Sam inside very quickly, tries to hide him. But Sam is like, I'm not hiding. He's like, I'm defending myself this time.
Oh my gosh. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
Bad idea.
Sam, horrible idea. Anne is literally begging and crying and begging and pleading with him. But she couldn't stop Sam. He refused to hide. And so he was standing at the top of the stairs in Blackbeard's house when Blackbeard opened the door. And as you can probably imagine, a fight instantly ensued. Blackbeard apparently let out this animal-like scream and charged up the stairs with his sword out, ready. And with one singular swipe, Blackbeard struck Sam fatally. And Blackbeard and Anne watched as the blood poured out of Sam's body and down the stairs of this house. Like a blood river.
See, like, I saw it coming. I saw it coming.
Yeah, I know. I mean, how could you not? It's Blackbeard.
Mm-hmm.
So, now who's to say how many murders actually took place in this house? We will never know.
Honestly, true.
We will never know.
Like, definitely more than just this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is possible, I suppose it is the only one, but I would bet money it's definitely not the only one.
Yeah, yeah.
So people who have lived in the house since then have always claimed to get the blood stain out of the stairs, but no matter what they do, no matter what they try, no matter even if they switch the boards, a stain will always come back of the blood down the stairs.
Spooky.
Mm-hmm. When I hear stuff like that, I'm like, that is crazy. Because that's like ghosts. Like, that's not even like the stairs are not living, you know? Like I feel like it makes sense if a person comes back cuz they're like a soul, but like the stairs, I don't know, it's just so crazy to think about, you know, that the blood just keeps coming back.
Right.
Yep. But people who have lived in this house, they also say that Sam haunts the Blackbeard house and that they claim to see his ghost at the top of the stairs often. I mean, he's not evil or anything, obviously. He's just standing there, but that's so sad. People also say that Blackbeard himself haunts this house and they see him walking around, just all over the house. So, crazy. Other people say that on late, like dark walks throughout downtown, even though there are no lights on inside the house and nobody seems like you can look in and see nobody's doing anything, there's no party, but it will sound like a group of men laughing really loudly, but like nobody's there because you can see inside.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, is it the ghosts of all the pirates that were once there, like just having a good old time, or like one of those residual hauntings that like it's just, you know, going back in time a little bit? I don't know. Crazy. Very crazy. So, moving along, you may be curious as to what happened to Anne. Unfortunately, her body was found washed ashore close to Beaufort, and she had been stabbed to death and thrown into the ocean.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so Blackbeard was never convicted or anything like that, but everybody in town knew Blackbeard had killed her. And
okay, but listen, in that situation, if I were her, I would have been like, oh my god, like, I was trying to get him out of here. Like,
oh, I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did.
And like,
I'm sure she did. But I feel like, I just feel
because like, what if she was just like, Blackbeard, like, I love him, or said something stupid like that, and that's why he killed her. Because like,
I feel like I guess we don't have
the story.
I feel like he killed her on the principle that she allowed another man into his house. Like, while
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe he could, or she could have said like, I didn't let him in. Like, he just came in.
True. I mean, I have a good feeling that she probably did try, but I feel like Blackbeard is just ruthless and didn't care.
Yeah, I just didn't believe her.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but so even though he never got convicted of killing Anne, there was absolutely proof that he did so. Would you like to hear the proof?
Yes.
His newest girlfriend just so happened to be seen walking about town with a giant emerald ring with a gold band.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
The ring.
Mm-hmm. The ring. It's so sad. So today, the Blackbeard house is unfortunately a private residence, so you cannot go inside. There is a sign out front of like the house, and so you can know which one it is, which is cool. But I want to go inside. Personally, I want to see the blood stain, you know.
I know. And I wonder how much the house would be. Like, at least nowadays. Like,
oh, so
because
expensive.
It's Blackbeard's house.
It's also like right on the water. Because I saw it. It's like right on the water. So I'm sure millions, even though it's like a tiny house, like all of the houses in Beaufort are tiny and they're not updated, at least on the outside, but they're right on the water. And so like they're millions upon millions.
Yeah.
So not good. Fortunately, we cannot afford that right now in our budget, Savannah. Maybe one day.
Definitely not. No.
That's funny. Okay. Also, a really crazy note going along with Blackbeard, but moving away from Anne. So his ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, scientists and historians have pretty much concluded that ship is sunken right off the coast of Beaufort. And when I was staying there over that weekend a couple weeks ago, our hotel room looked out over the water, right? And they actually had a map in our room showing that if these scientists are correct, that basically I could see the part of the ocean that the ship is in. Like they had like an X of like where you were located, and then like a picture of like where they think the ship is. And it's like I could see, like, I mean the ship obviously is underwater, so like I could not see the ship, but like You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that it's going to be a lot of money to try to get it out, which is why they have not tried to do it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But second I become a millionaire, I'm getting Queen Anne's Revenge out of the ocean. Like,
Yeah,
that's
honestly,
high on
true.
my list. I need to know. Because I want to know if his treasure's there too. You know? Could be.
Yeah, yeah,
Could be.
could be. What if
Um,
it's just in the basement of that house?
yo. Or like buried, like in the grass, like on the yard. That'd be
Yeah.
crazy. That would be crazy. Okay, so when I get rich, we're going to buy the house and get the boat out of the ocean.
Yes. Yes.
Also, okay, this might, I don't know if this confused you, but it surely confused me. I was like, is the ship name Queen Anne's Revenge? Does it have something to do with this Anne? Like, is it Anne's ship?
Or is it Queen Anne?
And yeah, so it is. It is Queen Anne. I just wanted to clarify because I was
Okay.
confused, so I was like, maybe somebody else will be
Because it was
confused.
named, it was definitely named before he knew
It
Anne,
was.
right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely was. He named the ship that in spite of England's displaced queen at the time. So, just to clear any confusion, because at least my dummy self, I was like, wait, Anne and Anne. But
Well,
Anne was just a very popular name at the
okay,
time.
what happened to Queen Anne then?
I didn't go into that.
Okay. Because I even took like I took AP European history, so like I feel like I should know this, but I don't even
I was gonna
remember
say,
what happened.
you're asking the wrong person. I know nothing about European history. No, I hardly know American history.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh.
definitely don't know European history. But
Yeah.
apparently she
Well,
was displaced. She was not the queen. I don't know if it had something to do with like the
right.
like I don't know, some kind of war. I don't know.
Well, okay, I mean that makes sense then, just to like have a boat named like her revenge because, you know,
Yeah.
she would want to take revenge probably, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like I think he called it the revenge like cuz that's his revenge on her. Like
well, I thought you said it was like because she wasn't queen anymore, so then that's her revenge because they took her off the throne.
well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Correct.
yeah. So it's like against England.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were saying
Okay.
the same thing in just two different ways, but yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think we
Correct.
got it now. Yeah.
We did. But yes, okay, so that is like the little haunting of Blackbeard, the Blackbeard house, haunted by Sam, at least, or possibly also the other pirate ghosts who laugh and are loud down there. And so I was there
Wow.
during the day. I didn't hear any mysterious laughing going on
Mm-hmm.
outside, so unfortunately for me. But moving away from Blackbeard a little bit, I'll tell you a second story of okay, so actually, right beside the town of Beaufort is the town of Morehead City. So basically, to describe this, I'm going to only be able to help with you, Savannah. It's
Okay.
kind of like proximity wise, like Wrightsville Beach to Wilmington. Like they're the same, you know? But like
Okay.
one is the
Yes.
beach city and one is just like the city.
Yes.
So, okay, yeah. So Morehead City is that to Beaufort. So
Right. Makes sense.
I said it's like the ghost of Beaufort, but it is, because it's all on the same trip. So, in
So we're getting
Morehead,
a BOGO story this week, aren't we?
BOGO 2 for 1 special, yes.
Love that. Okay.
Just because I was like, maybe the Blackbeard house isn't enough. We're getting 2 stories. And they happen in the same place, so it's crazy. So, yes. Like I said, right beside Beaufort, there's a town called Morehead City. And in Morehead City, there is a fort called Fort Macon. It autocorrected to Mason, but Macon.
Okay. Fort Macon.
Yes. And so what's hilarious to me is that while me and my parents were there, we were attempting to find a beach access, right?
Mm-hmm.
We pull into this, it's like, it says like historic state park or something like that. And I saw the sign for a fort. I was like, there's a fort over here? And they were like, I don't know. I don't see a fort. And I didn't see a fort.
Right.
I was like, but I saw a sign for a fort. And I was like, wait, before we go on the beach, look, can we just like drive around and see if we can find this fort? Like, I just want to see it. So from the road, you cannot see this fort, which is crazy and it's the hardest thing to describe because it is a literal huge fortress, but you cannot see it because it was built like under the sand dunes. So it
What?
just looks like you're driving through the sand dunes and like sandy tree areas, but actually it's a fort. And if when you're on top of the fort, you can see everything. But from below, you can't see
crazy.
anything. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it was all hand built by these people. I'll get into it. It's crazy. So we were able to find the fort, and we decided to just go check it out instead of going to the beach. And the vibes, they were so spooky magooky, okay? You have no idea. I have pictures. We will have to post them. It was so, also it didn't help that it had just rained like that morning. So everything was like a little damp, gray skies. It wasn't raining, but it was just like very eerie to be there. And also while I was there, I got to see them shoot old guns from the freaking 17 and 1800s.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool. And so there were no bullets shot. They shot like little fake bullets that were made out of toilet paper. So they would like explode cool. And also nobody would get hurt. But that was cool. So Fort Macon is filled with cannons. This was like the place for the cannons. I have never in my life seen so many cannons. I can't.
Really?
No, there were so many cannons. There's a lot of like historical context within this place, and so I'm not going to get into all of it, but basically there were not many battles that were actually fought here in comparison to other North Carolina forts like Fort Fisher, for example, like where a lot of battles happened. But yeah, so one thing that protected the fort were actually the millions of cannons that they had, because as I said, you cannot see this fort, but if you're like standing where the cannons are, you can see everything. And so these people would be able to shoot ships from like miles away and hit them, and they wouldn't even know where the shooting was coming from, essentially. So it was a very easily protected fort.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That it's like so hidden like that.
Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah. So let's see here. Anyways, so back in spring of 1861, there was a boy named Ben Combs, and he decided that it was time for him to leave his hometown of Goldsboro and join the military, specifically the Confederate Army. Now,
okay.
Like he was like, all I'm gonna be is a farmer, so I might as well be a soldier and fight for my country. That was his mindset. And his dad was totally against it. He was like, you're not a fighter, you're a stupid farmer, you don't know anything and you're stupid. That's literally, he was so mean.
Wow.
And so like these are just stories like what you will do out of spite for your parents, because he was like,
true.
Fine, now I'm definitely joining the military and I'm leaving. So yeah, so Ben, he joins, and he soon finds himself at Fort Macon. And he actually made friends, like, really easily. And he kind of felt very proud of, like, the life that he was living. He felt like he was actually doing something with his life now. Yeah, so he felt really good about himself. And he also felt like he proved his dad wrong, in a way. So, haha. Joke's on him. That's what Ben said.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, good for him, even though it was the Confederate Army.
Right. I mean,
you know,
he didn't
whatever.
have really another choice. He was in the South, you know.
I mean, that's true. He just wanted to be in an army. Like,
exactly.
whatever.
Exactly. So, like, during the time that Ben was there, these men were actually they were at Fort Macon, but they were actually building Fort Macon into what it is today. They were essentially out there digging holes into these sand dunes and putting in bricks and creating what would eventually become the barracks and like the kitchen and everything, all of it. This whole little tiny underground town that's very protected. And so they literally built it by hand, which is another really crazy thing to think about, them laying all those stones. Like, there are so many stones. It's so hard to explain. Please go look at our Instagram to see the pictures. But on May 21st, news reached the fort that North Carolina had seceded from the Union, and so they lost, but they were celebrating that, you know, the war was over. They didn't even really care that they lost. They were like, whatever, at least it's over, we don't have to worry.
Okay.
Yeah. So in his free time now, Ben would often walk along the water in Morehead City and Beaufort, always on the lookout for Yankees, as he called them, because he was like, even though the war's over, I don't trust them.
Right.
So spring of
Okay.
1862 comes, and this is when they attacked Fort Macon. So he, his suspicion was right. And it
Yeah.
was the moment that he had been waiting for. So Ben ran up to the top of the hill, and he was attempting to mount a special cannon. This one was a 10-inch mortar shell that was absolutely sure to do some damage. Unfortunately, his farming knowledge did not really ever tell him, because again, they did not fight, while they were here up until this point. His farming knowledge did not ever tell him, like, when you shoot a cannon, you need to run away from the cannon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he didn't really know about that part.
No, and so he lit it, and all the people around him, they started running, so he just started running.
Oh.
Unfortunately, he ran in the direction in front of the cannon.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's really sad, yeah.
This man.
This man, he fumbled the bag really bad.
Listen, like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, he was probably not educated very well.
Yeah, no, he was not.
But, like, running in front of a cannon, like...
I know. It's really sad.
Okay.
It is sad. And
Okay.
unfortunately, the cannon hit him and exploded in his back, and it shattered his rib cage, and the shattering of his rib cage actually ended up puncturing his lung, which the doctors at the time were not prepared to save anyone from any of that damage. And sadly,
Right.
Ben died from this.
Yeah.
But obviously, the fort continued to be in use. Even today, as I said, you can go tour it for free if you're there. So, over the years, though, everyone seems to know the ghost of Ben Combs.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so fast forwarding all the way to June of 1981, there's this guy, Officer Paul Branch. He started working at Fort Macon, and he soon, very quickly found out that nobody wanted to work the night shift alone. Absolutely everybody refused to do it. And simply because of the ghost is what they said. They were like, it's the ghost. We don't want to, we cannot be here by ourselves. And Paul thought that this was ridiculous. So he was like, fine, I'll do it. Y'all are some babies, which typical response, I would say. And honestly, for a while, it was fine. No, nothing paranormal happened to Paul. And so Paul was like, y'all are really some babies, for real. Up until one evening, he was working the night shift alone, and he was sitting in his office doing some paperwork, and he, it was time for him to go, or at least go, like, check the perimeter. It was time for him to get out of his office. So he stands up, walks to the door, and tries to leave. And he realized that the door had been locked from the outside, but he was the only person there.
Oh, no.
Yep. And
so is he stuck?
He was stuck until somebody came, for the next shift. Yep.
Oh, no.
Yep. And so since then, it's been said people hear a man's voice talking all the time, but there's nobody there. Doors will slam out of absolutely nowhere. All the typical ghost activity, pretty much. But, since Ben was the only man to die in battle there, that is originally why people assumed the ghost to be Ben, but they weren't 100% positive it was him until people started reporting this what sounded like a man singing an older song. And I didn't write down the lyrics of the song because I forgot to do that. But basically it was like a popular song, like back in his day, that like all the soldiers would sing. And
Right.
so people say that you can hear a man singing this specific song. And so since this was a song that Ben did sing actually for real in real life, that kind of like made everybody really believe that this is actually the ghost of Ben haunting this place. Objects will move about the property, and all the typical things. But we will end with the eeriest experience of all of them. Funny enough, this experience was witnessed by Officer Paul himself, the denier.
The denier.
Really, the denier. So this shift that he was working, actually, he was working with two other men who were stationed there. So he was not by himself. And they were sitting on one side of the fort, and Officer Paul, he was like standing on the other side of the fort. And so he was just glancing over, and it was not nighttime. This was like one of the day shifts, but nobody else was there other than them and the two men and him. So he was just, looking about, doing his job, chilling, glancing, and he notices the two men sitting down. They're just chilling on this hill, whatever. And he looks away for a second and looks back, like a quick, look back, and realized that he was seeing the reflection of three men sitting down on this hill, even though he could only physically see two men.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And he says, literally, it cannot be explained in any other way other than, and he's like, I don't even believe in ghosts, but like, there was no like trick of the light, trick of the eye. This was like fully another shadow. And so he just believes, at this point, after all the things that he's experienced, he now believes in ghosts, and he believes that Ben was just trying to sit with his fellow military men looking out over the fort that he was so proud to have built, which I'm like, oh, that is so cute. I know. So there have never been any mean or malicious sightings or experiences having to do with Ben, all good things. So that's good, little cutie. And when I was there, it was just like more of an overall eerie feeling. I didn't get to experience Ben's ghost, sadly, but it was the whole place just had a vibe to it. Like, I don't know. There's just no word to describe to it. But yeah, the history, it goes back very far. This place is super cool. If you're ever in Morehead City, you should definitely go check it out. It's free, so why not? And so yeah, even though Beaufort is a very small town, there's a lot going on here. And honestly, there's more parts that can be had in the future. So part 2 coming soon is all I have to say about that.
I want to go there.
Yeah, you do. It's absolutely beautiful.
That seems like such a cute little town.
It's so beautiful.
But then also like the history, and it's just,
the history is dark. Also, when I was there, actually, I think I went a couple days before New Year's, because the tour guide was telling us that on New Year's, every New Year, it's free to go to the museum, but they ask for donations, just so they can keep it up and running, because there's a museum, and then right beside the museum is the actual fort. Yeah. And every New Year's, they actually I don't know the correct terminology, but they set off the cannons.
Oh, okay.
And so normally they could only afford to do like 3 or 4 cannons, but 2024 New Year's, he said that they were able to afford 8 cannons. And so I did not get to see that, but that sounds so cool.
It does.
Like to actually shoot these cannons, like that's cool. I've never seen a cannon shot before.
I'm thinking back. I think I might have seen one at a random fort that I was visiting.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's where it would happen.
Yeah, because they have they'll just set it off as a demonstration or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think when I might have been tagging along with my brother for a Boy Scout trip or something.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So.
Oh, how many times I did that in my life. So many.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that's really fun to do for New Year's Eve.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
when
awesome.
the fireworks are going off, there's also just cannons.
Yes.
And the guy, he was saying because they fire the cannons literally with the cannonballs, and he was like, the cannonballs are so expensive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy. I didn't even know you could still shoot cannons. I really didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just gotta make sure you don't stand in front of them, just like
just like Ben. Yeah, don't be like Ben. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Ben. At least he's living. He's happy. I feel confident saying that he is a happy ghost where he is. That's where he wants to be.
Yeah, he probably his last second before the cannon hit him. He's probably oh crap.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's I can imagine.
Yeah.
The fear and the oh my god, I made a mistake.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine that at all. Gosh, it's so horrifying. Yeah, so, lots of horrendous deaths this episode. Sorry about that.
Yes, just, honestly. And mine has to do with cats turning into humans and murdering you.
That's that's crazy. Humans murdering humans is already crazy enough, but cat humans murdering humans is even even more out of the realm.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's just, yeah.
Absolutely wild. Well, definitely be sure to go check out our Instagram so you can see pictures from our stories this week. And go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. But that's really all I have for you guys this week. What about you, Savannah?
Yeah, I think that's all we have.
Okay, well then I guess we will see you guys next week.
Cue the music.